Yes.
Dude, are you
Another
ready
win.
for your victory lap, Dave?
Oh, dude. Victory laps are something that I enjoy. Don't do very many of them, but let's start, man. Let's do it.
Let's start. So it was pretty controversial when we said that J Dub was better than Ant.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember getting blown up for that?
I think inside of the Oklahoma City Thunder community, I think I was called a moron and
Yeah,
that our
within the
takes have to be
community.
the worst takes ever because of
Yeah,
it. So, I
yeah.
mean, I suffered because of it, no doubt.
Okay, but anyway, how do you feel about that now?
I listen, I will say this 100 times is that I believe in Sam Presti more than I believe in the Timberwolves. And if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, you're right there with me. What's up, Devin?
What's
You're
up, man?
right there with me. You understand what I'm saying. So if Sam Presti drafted J Dub,
Enough said.
yeah, I gotta go with it, man. J Dub is, in my opinion, one of those guys that we have no idea how good he's gonna be. We can sit here, we can predict, but I can tell you this is that I've looked at the numbers in the first 4 years of Ant's play, and I gotta say, I'm more impressed with J Dub's first of his first 2 years than I am with Ant. Even though Ant and him are the same age, I think a lot of maturity has to come with that. And we all know that late bloomers sometimes start off ugly, but by the time they're done, they're gorgeous. And
Yeah.
I mean, like J Dub's 6 inches or 5 inches that he grew. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a last minute thing. So for me, it's just about growing into his body. So when push comes to shove, am I gonna pick Ant over J Dub? Hell no. I would.
Let me ask you this: who would you rather shoot a three?
Oh, I mean, we're talking about one of the most efficient players in the league right now
Okay.
is J
Who
Dub.
would you
You know,
rather
like
play defense?
Ant's defense, I have to say this is incredibly physical, whereas J Dub's
But
defense
you're
is one
talking
of
about
those
the
type of.
guard.
Yeah, but you're talking about a Ant plays a guard position defender incredibly well, right? He doesn't play the small forward very well. He plays him physical, but he doesn't play him really well. But J Dub, he plays 1 through 4 better than anybody else I've seen in a long time. Like there's a couple guys in the league that are able to play 1 through 4 like he does, but not to the consistency level that J Dub is able to do so. So when you're talking about style of defense, like Ant is way more physical. He's going to be, one of those guys that's going to wear you down throughout a game. But J Dub's one of those guys that's going to frustrate you to no end. So pick your poison. Like sometimes a player that Ant is defending is just going to go off and just score a shit ton. And other times that player he's defending isn't going to be able to handle that physical play, and it's vice versa with J Dub. So it's just a coin flip on who's going to be more valuable in what game, and that's the thing.
Nice.
And that's the thing is Ant is being paid 200 and something $1 million for his work, and you got to sit there and say, "Whoo, this is a true like conversation now. This is a true conversation. Like for the first time, we're not the only ones saying it."
So who would you rather shoot free throws at the end of a game?
Dude, J Dub hit his.
That's
J Dub hit his. I mean,
that's
like that's that. Like, and especially after all this bitching and
oh my
moaning
god, dude.
and complaining that Ant has been like, you just can't touch Shea when he gets to the lane,
Oh
automatic
my
foul.
god.
And
Oh
like,
my
this is what
god.
crazy about this, right?
My
I don't know the
god,
exact
dude.
number, bro. I don't know the exact number, but Shea has shot 26 or 27 free throws in the 3 games against them. Ant shot 29. So Ant shot more free throws than Shea, yet Ant is sitting there complaining. And let me tell you this. Why does that happen? It's because when the IQ for the game isn't up to par, you sit there and complain about something that you shouldn't be complaining about.
You went IQ, bro. Well,
What else do you say? Like, why would you complain about the free throws when you've shot more free throws than him? Like, why? Why? Let me tell you why. Is because you're not looking at the game and saying anything else like Shea's just a better player than I am. He just
yo.
kicks my ass every single time we play him.
So
Like
he's
he just
basic.
destroys me as a man. Like that's what happens. All right? Stop talking about the fucking free throws, man.
You got one that plays the game with pure, pure silky smooth freshness, baby. And you
Passion,
got
bro.
one that tries to play like a bull in a vagina closet, dude. And like, I'm not saying which one is which, but I think you can tell. You know what I mean? I get it. Steven had some nice things to say. Ant's got a good body. He's got a real good body. Nice body. He really liked that body. Oh, but Shay
Bro,
doesn't have that body, bro. She's not fit like Ant, Dave. How much does that matter to you, Dave?
I just gotta say this is that the new
He's got
NBA
that
is
body.
designed to protect these slender, thinner guys.
He's got that body,
If
Dave.
Ant wants to be that physical, crazy, psychotic defender out there, right? By all means, you can be, but he's going to spend a lot of time with suspension because you can't be physical in that aspect anymore. Like some guy goes up for a layup or a dunk, and Ant's going to come over and try to body him up and throw him to the ground. Like that shit's not okay anymore. So the physical aspect of what Ant's defensive game is and his offensive game is, it works to a certain extent. And you know what's crazy about it is that outside of Cat, that entire team is built with that type of mentality. Like, how close are they to always being able to foul out and so quickly? Like it goes boom, free throws in the first 2 minutes of the a quarter.
Yeah.
Why? Because they can't help themselves. Yes, they have cool pieces, they have nice pieces, but they're one break, one psychotic break, whatever you want to call it. Like when you're playing in an 82 game season, there's going to be people that have psychotic breaks, and there's going to be coaches that have psychotic breaks on their players, and there's going to be this and that on coaches, and you have to have an organization that's designed to protect the players, the coaches, the GMs, and everybody else like that. And I feel like the Timberwolves organization has been just blah, and the Thunder organization has been properly done. So the course of what's happening with the Oklahoma City Thunder, you got to stop and say, is it more healthy to play in the Oklahoma City Thunder organization? Yes. Are you going to be able to play an entire season without being injured? Possibly. If you don't have a freak injury, yes. Are you going to be able to get 3 or 4 extra years of playing because the Thunder are going to take care of you every single season? Yes. And on top of that, all I have to do is go play basketball. Think about all the shit that Ant's been in trouble and saying stuff, and like he got in trouble for, making a gay comment. Like he's been in trouble enough times now that you got to stop, and you got to wonder, like would you rather somebody that's what we would consider, a prima donna head case, or would you rather somebody that has major swagger, that knows how to handle his shit and can shoot the ball like nobody's business? Tell
You
me
know,
who
one
would you rather?
one thing people didn't mention, I heard anyway last night, was didn't we see this all play out in FIBA?
Oh, wait, yeah. I mean, like we talked about during FIBA, like we were talking about
Right?
in the Australian game
Remember
when
that
we were getting live on.
we're watching the game for the bronze medal, right? We get to see Shea go against Ant. I mean, wasn't this pretty much the conclusion there too? Like,
Yep. But
where like
what's
Ant,
what's been the key factor in these games? In the Canada game, who did Ant have to go against?
it was Shea, bro.
Dort. He had to
Yeah.
play against Dort, a physical defender that's in your face. Yes, a little bit smaller, but somebody that you
Hmm.
can't fucking push around. Right. And then again, last night, I mean, yes, you had the other finesse play when Dort came out of the game, and you saw Case and Wallace in the game and you saw that. But I don't think it's a coincidence that, Dort got a rest just before this game, because coach knew how physical it was going to be, how hard it was going to be. So for me,
You know
this
what's
is
funny, bro?
this is
You know what's
it's all
funny?
a mind game at this moment.
What's the Wolves like answer for Dort? They throw Shea's little cousin on him,
I know,
who's
dude.
been punking since he was a kid, bro.
It's like,
They're like,
ha,
"Oh yeah, you're the best guy."
I
Look, I
forgot
love
you were my
Nikhil
better
Alexander
cousin.
Walker.
My bad, cuz.
I know.
I should have done that to you.
Our secret Shea stopper is his little brother. Like,
Oh my gosh, dude.
could you imagine, Dave, if like we were playing against each other in high school and they sent me out to guard you because I was the one who's best suited to guard you?
Nah,
You'd be
dude.
like, I've been picking on you. Like,
Yeah, dude.
do you have any guys? Just for the record, I'll put this on record. Do you have any points that I ever scored on Dave when we were playing 1-on-1? 7
No, dude. No, you scored
in the
more.
same game, dude.
No,
No,
you
they
scored
weren't all
way
in the
more,
same
dude.
game, dude. You wouldn't even give me a bucket, bro.
Oh,
That's
dude.
what I'm just saying about Shea and Nikhil Alexander Walker. Like, I bet he scored on him so few times.
No, you're right.
Like, and and he scores on Shea scores on him every time when they play
Yeah.
because he knows how. And it's like, oh, now he's gonna play really intense. Oh, here comes the intense version of Gilgeous-Alexander Walker.
But Shea, it's Shea. We had 1 minute, 17 seconds. Shea's bringing up the ball. I mean, he's got a good defender on him. He doesn't got a chump defender on him. It was either, I think it was Chase or it was Daniels or I don't remember,
Yeah,
Conley or
McDaniels or
whatever. It
whatever.
was one of those,
Whatever. He goes to that deep step back, bro.
and
The
he goes straight the deep
deep,
step back. And it was just
deep.
like, it was slow motion. You can watch it 100 times and it's so silky smooth. And it was just like, Shea's like, okay, I'm done playing. Game over. You know, like we've seen this happen before with Shea, but like Shea was like, I feel like was like just tooling with him. Like, like, here's a little bit of bread. Here's some fishies. Here you go, some wolf. Here, have some of this, some meat wolves. Here you go. And then I'm gonna rip that back from you, motherfucker, and I'm taking that. And that's what he did. He just like at the end of the game, like it was just like so incredibly smooth. He just decided like, I'm just done playing this game. Game over.
Dude,
And it was sick, bro.
it was sick, and it was a deficit, and they talk about this a lot. Our third quarter, second half of third quarters, they're atrocious right now,
Mm.
and coaches is trying to figure this out just as much as we are. But earlier in the season, it was the first quarter.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, it was the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Mm.
That was really a struggle for us when
Oh,
Shea
yeah.
was first sitting. Both of
Jada
those times
was
have turned
learning
into
his
strengths.
role at that point. It took him 20
You
games
look
to
at our
figure it out.
strongest 2 points in a game right now, Dave. We are smashing in the first quarter, and we're coming out and we're smashing in the beginning of the fourth quarter. And it's giving Shea what he needs. But there are moments in between where, like, hey, we got to figure this out. And this is
Sure.
going to go back and forth. It's never going to be like, oh, you have all 4 quarters figured out, because teams will figure out stuff.
Dude,
One of the
it's
things teams that have
different
figured out
matchups.
is zones.
Yeah.
They figured out that if you put a team in a really, really solid 2-3, that 2-3 can force us into shooting a lot of jumpers in places that we're not comfortable, because the length of the 2-3 can create all sorts of issues.
Sure.
And one thing that I've noticed is, like, we've really found a coach who can coach X's and O's into successful environments of that.
Sure.
But
Well,
since
what
one
it
team had
is.
success, it became really a trend to guard us with,
Sure.
throw a couple defenses, but show them that 2-3 anytime that you're in these certain moments. Like, but what is it, Dave? Tell me.
Well, when coach sees this 2-3 zone that he does, other teams are doing, and they're putting it on it, trying to clog up the lane. Coach puts out there an extra shooter, and he causes the teams to go into a 4-1 zone. And we've all know in the 4-1 zone, you can guard the middle or you can guard the top
But you
of the
can't
key.
guard the corners really either, too.
Yeah,
can't
and you
really
have a
reach.
hard time. Like, and that's what coach does. He spreads the zone so thin, right? That at that point, they want to double team Shea. They're leaving the lane open. So we see all
here's
these
the
guys
thing I'd say,
cutting. We
too.
see these guys going back door. We see all this like just IQ
But
knowledge that's happening.
Here's the IQ thing. Micic, when they go zone,
Mhm.
he goes Micic.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
not like every single time.
Yep.
But whenever Shea's not in the game and they're sitting back in this type of zone, because Shea can penetrate through zone. That's not
Oh,
really
yeah.
a problem for him.
It's not.
But here's what he needs for it to happen. The ball needs to be moving from side to side. If the ball is stagnating on one side, there's really not any player that can, penetrate against a zone when it's stagnated.
Hmm.
Like James Harden in his prime could do it, but he's not that level anymore. And here's what I want to go back to, though.
But do you know
Steph
why we get
Curry
to the zone?
could do it in his way because he could stretch it, right?
Sure.
And that's where the rules have changed, bro. You were saying that the game is better for slender guards. Think about the calls that Russ didn't get and Steph did. Why? Because the way they officiate the game, and
right.
they actually encourage the players to be more slender and take more impact when you get contacted, right? So
right.
I think it all relates into this whole, like, we're watching like the last 20 years of basketball kind of play out, because LeBron, Steph, like these different versions,
Mhm.
and now we're watching Ant go against SGA.
Mm.
And yeah, Ant can bitch and moan all he wants, bro. But the reality is, when the refs go look at the tape, they will, by the way, they'll see if they're right. They're not going to agree with him, and they're going to get harder.
Yeah.
They're going to get harder. And
Yep.
I think this is all related.
Oh, yeah. And when we see zones, and we're going to see a lot of these zones throughout this time, you see Josh put out there, and you see Josh get to go into the corner. I think that's a really great place for him when a zone comes out. And the reason is because Josh isn't afraid to shoot the ball, and he's going to find a wide open person, whether it's cutting back door. But watch when teams go into their zones, what Coach D does. And when Coach D recognizes what's going on and how to beat that zone, it doesn't take him long. Sometimes it's Jay Will, sometimes it's Isaiah Joe, sometimes it's Cason Wallace. But it's one of those guys. And the one thing I love that he does too is that when he's trying to figure it out, you know why? Is because he sticks Lindy Waters out there.
Yeah.
Lindy Waters is like the test guy. What is he going to be able to create? What is he going to be able to do? If he can do this, then I know that Isaiah Joe's going to be very successful. I know this person's going to be very successful. I know that I'll be able to go to this offense and be successful. And I love it, dude. I love how he uses Lindy Waters in that aspect because he's such a great role player that you don't need a lot of time with him on the floor to recognize what needs to happen, where to go. And he does that with Kenny Hustle. He does that with a lot of guys. But I love it when he does that with Lindy Waters.
And sticking with the zone conversation, right? Like a lot of teams aren't used to playing zone
No.
because most teams don't demand a zone. And
Mm.
a lot of teams refuse to go to a zone in a lot of cases, although it's very normal for teams to do it, which is a new trend over the last since they reintroduced the zone defense. You know
Sure.
what I mean? It wasn't immediately caught on or picked up by a lot of teams. It's been popularized now by I think guys like Nick Nurse and stuff like that. But when
It
a
wasn't right
team
away
that's
for
not
sure.
when teams go into zones,
Yeah.
I mean, Spoelstra was really early to do it too, but when teams go into zones and they're not used to it, they have a tendency to do one thing, which is reach.
Yeah.
And if you're in a zone, you have to be able to get to the position. And that's where Shea can just carve teams up. That's why J Dub is so good when Giddey's out on the court. That's why Chet can pop and really stretch that defense. And if teams refuse to send somebody out to him early, like one thing that's interesting about Chet's shot is I saw him shoot one after the buzzer at the end of the first quarter, I think,
Sure.
and he knocked it down. But I kind of watched the rate of which he shot it, and he really needs a second to get that thing off. Like there's a bit of a long windup for that thing. It will come down with time, but I would say when a zone gives him his full time to wind up on that three, he's gonna knock it down 45% of the time. It's gonna be higher than his 39% average or whatever right now. And if they rush him by making sure somebody's always within arm's reach who can just put a hand in his face and reach at the ball, just do anything to disrupt his flow, he's probably going to shoot closer to 25%. We'll call that the Victor Wembanyama shooting. Okay.
Sure.
So it's kind of like,
I like that.
he's
nice.
Yeah, exactly. So my point, anyway, I can't even remember my point. Dave, you take it from here.
But I think you're on the right path with that. And I think when you look at a shooter like Shea, and you see that Shea, Dort, these guys that take a little bit longer for their shot, right? When they're in rhythm. Why do I like that? Is because how many times do you see a flyby happen?
Yeah.
All the time.
Most.
How many times do those flybys consist of somebody hitting somebody running into somebody getting underneath the feet? I would say 1 out of 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Like that matters, right? Like those are the little things. It's just the tiny little things that matter in games like that, because it's going to take once or twice that a player does that, and then all of a sudden he's in foul trouble. Coach is mad at him. He's off his game now. Like it's the little things that I see Coach C teaching these guys that are slight, like I call it high IQ, but it's more of like how your brain. How can I get in your brain and, like, I don't know, put babies in there and just let those babies create havoc in your brain and then just walk away. And then for the next 48 minutes, you're a total bitch to the system. And I think that's what we're seeing this whole thing happen to the Oklahoma City Thunder, is that, like, you don't even know, like, we're reading some of these comments right here. They're always listen, the Oklahoma City Thunder is so good that when we're done with the game, they sit there and they're like, the team that we just played is like, we should have won that game. We should not have let that team beat us. They can't beat us in a playoff series. And everybody says that, but we're so good. They can't even recognize that in a 4-game series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, we would go maybe into 5 games.
Yeah, it really wouldn't get to 6,
It
Dave.
wouldn't. It wouldn't.
It
Maybe it would
wouldn't
get
get
to
to
6, but
6.
it would only get to 6 if one of our guys got injured. You know,
It
like,
would not the Timberwolves, dude. They wouldn't get
and
to
that's the thing
6.
about it is that
They're
like
not going to
that's how
6.
good this team is that everybody else that doesn't know hoops very well is sitting there going, maybe not in a
It's just a
playoff game
better team.
series.
They're
But
just a better team.
Oklahoma City Thunder, man, like that's it, bro. That's it.
Dude,
That's where
so
everybody else is trying to catch on. It's
are you
already
sure?
too late. We already got
y-
the players. We've got the
You
draft
sure?
picks. It's over.
You sure it's just not the refs, being sensitive and calling too many for Shea?
All right.
You sure
I've
about that,
gone
Dave?
back. All right. I want to be clear on this. All right. I went back
Are we better, or is it just that the refs are
10
calling too
games.
many for?
The
Yeah.
most complaining that I've heard in 10 games. And I went back and watched his free throws in those 10 games. Right. And every single time he gets to the lane, it's undeniable. Like there is a physical contact of somebody pushing him, somebody slapping him, somebody hitting him. Like it's so undeniable that not once have I seen a coach challenge it. Think about that. Out of all
Mm.
the free throws that Shea has taken this season, I don't remember one time where Shea has gotten up that they've challenged. And the aspect of that, the recognition of that, it's like the coaches, they're going to complain about it. Like, where the fuck is your issue down there? You should have called that, right? But they aren't going to complain about the call that is just made because they're not going to use their challenge on it
Challenge on a fail.
because they know it's right. They're just going to complain about it because they can. You know, Coach T is sitting there and getting technical in back-to-back games, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, good. Fuck
How
yeah.
about Chris Finch wasting his challenge, but coach waits for that Chet block?
Oh, it was perfect. Like,
I mean,
but
complain about
so
that,
much
Ant.
more is
What's wrong with that?
well, let me just throw this out here. Is every single time that there's a moment that there's a foul called, I want everybody. This is your guys' homework. You ready for this, guys? I want
Mm-hmm.
everybody to watch what we do after the whistle's blown. The play's not dead. The play's not dead. We go get the ball. Why? Because every foul and every play like that is a challengeable call. And they all know it. They all know it. So they go get the ball because then it's nobody jump ball. It's 100% our ball if we challenge it. The rest of the
Hmm.
NBA hasn't even caught up to that. Like how many times have we seen a challenge that wouldn't be of our ball this season by coach? Maybe twice or 3 times. But it would be like Chet versus I don't know, like Patrick Beverly in the jump. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a massive mismatch in the jump. So like again, we've seen coach challenge in the jump, but it's not been normal. So it's what our players do after the whistle's been blown. We keep going at it. We don't stop. We want it. We're hungry.
Yeah, we are, dude. And last night, dude, we had a badass party watching the game.
Yes, dude. Was
It
being
was so much
live
fun.
again.
Yeah,
Unk, so good to have you there too, man. Unk called the show right after we were done. Hell yeah, dude. It was great.
it was so much fun, dude. Unk, jump on during halftime next time we're on.
Hey, no, I was
Love to
gonna
have
say
you,
is
buddy.
that I want to open up after we end the call. I want to open it up to anybody. So if we're on live and you want to join us to just talk the shit after we end the call, end the podcast, I want you guys on to talk it because just talking to Unk after last night, we were all so pumped. Like we were jacked
It
up.
was
So I want to be able to
freaking
open
out,
that
man.
up
We
again
were
because that was great.
freaking out. It was the best time, dude. It was weird. It was fucking
Strange.
hilarious. We talked about things that we wouldn't normally talk about, but in the end, Sammy Dog, you know what's up. So we'll roll with you anytime.
All right.
Anytime, too cool. You got it.
I want to throw this in here. In the
Let's
comments,
go.
guys, Day Mom. All right. Day Mom's one of our daily listeners. She needs some help with a jersey, a medium city edition. I'm gonna let her put the information that she needs. In Australia, you're not allowed, or somehow they can't get the jersey there. So if we have even Australian friends that know a system around the system, throw the information in there. Day mom definitely needs that information. We want to help her out, get a jersey that she needs in Australia. So let's help her out. And if I need to, I will be figuring that one out too. But I'm pretty sure we got some pretty smart dudes in there that will know exactly how to get that jersey for her.
Boom.
So
And Dave, thank you for everything. Thank you, Bluegill. We appreciate you
yes,
guys, and
yes,
we will see you
we
next
love you.
time.